7 more people.
Hai, prea cald, lasă-l atunci. Pune un pic de gheață pe să... La viu.
Did the volume, did that help or no? Okay. Uh, how about that? Did that help?
My side, you're pretty low. I don't know for everybody.
Me too. I might say the same.
For me, it's okay.
It is okay for you?
Yeah.
All right, I just switched over to a different mic. Did that help at all? Or is it still kind of low? Thomas, you were kind of, it's still the same low or like volume?
I have my volume on my computer maxed out to hear you, but when the other people speak, it blows my eardrums.
That's not good.
That was better when you're closer to it.
All right, I'll just do the whole presentation like this. Is that better? At least you can hear, right? And most of the time I'm going to be sharing a screen, so is this at least a little better?
Yes, quite a bit better.
A little bit.
But we're going to have to do it so that you can hear me. All right, let me just make sure everyone's getting
I'm sorry. It's possible you can give us access to the documents because I think you shared the PowerPoint and something else, and I tried to access them and I requested access to them.
All right. How is everyone doing with the sharing of the file?
Okay, let me see. Yes, now I can see it. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Does anyone else wasn't able to access it for any reason? Just send me an email because I could go back and forth and fix that. So I think I'm missing just 2 people, but it's a ton of stuff and not a lot of time to do it all in. So let me, oops, get out of here, done. Share. Okay, so this is what I sent you, but I'll also share it. So, and feel free to interrupt me if I go too fast or you can't see anything. So this is an AP Physics 1 online workshop. It'll be Wednesday tonight for an hour and a half, and then next Wednesday will be 2 hours. My name is Kim Lowell, and I teach at Newtown High School, and that's in Connecticut. And then I put my little bio in case people were interested. So, oops, someone is trying to come in. Came in, good. Okay, so just tonight, our basic agenda will be, we'll do quick little introductions, like everyone does a minute each, that's it. And then we'll talk about what's expected for this workshop. Like there's like 4 modules for it, and we'll discuss those. We'll talk about the AP Physics 1 course in general, because based on the feedback from the form for people who filled it out, it seems like we're sort of on the newer side. We'll spend a lot of time looking at the CED, and then we'll do an exam overview. So I'm just gonna stop sharing for a minute, and if we could just go around and you could just say your name and where you're from and how many years you've been teaching AP Physics 1. Okay, just so we could get an idea, because I know we've got like people from everywhere. So go ahead. Whoever would like to start. Thomas.
I'll go first.
Okay.
My name's Tom Collins. I teach in the Roanoke, Virginia area. I've taught IB Physics, AP Physics B, and AP Physics 1. AP Physics 1 I only taught for a few years before they put me onto AP Computer Science and took me away from AP Physics 1, and now they put me back in it after, I don't know, it's been many years that AP Physics 1's been here. So.
All right, great. Thank you. Anyone else want to jump in?
If you want, I can, let me this is my second year of teaching AP Physics, and I teach in Fort Mill, South Carolina.
Oh, very good.
I can go next.
Thank you.
My name is Richard Garza. I'm from Rio Grande City, which is in South Texas, and this is my first year teaching AP Physics 1.
Very nice. Welcome.
Oh, hi, I'm Rachel. I'm from Los Angeles, and this is also my first year teaching AP Physics.
Nice.
Can I go next?
Of course.
My name is Fabian, and I'm from Costa Rica, from the American International School. And this is my first year teaching AP Physics. But I taught physics before, just Physics 1 and 2 in secondary here in my country.
Very cool.
Hi, I'm Susanna. It's my first year teaching AP Physics, although I've taught very similar classes before as a part-time instructor at San Francisco State. I'm in East Palo Alto, California.
Very nice.
Hello, I'm Sabine. It's my first year teaching AP Physics, and I'm in Menlo Park, California, so
Ooh, yes.
really close to Susanna.
Very cool.
Hi there, I'm Scott Cargile. I teach in Austin, Texas, and this is my first year teaching AP Physics.
I'm Kia Stancato. I'm in Virginia. This is going to be my first time teaching AP Physics, but I've been teaching previously college and university physics.
Anyone else want to go?
Can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Omar.
Okay, so my name is Omar Nizan. I'm Jordanian. I live and teach currently in Eastern Saudi, and I have 19 years of experience teaching physics for high school and university. I never taught AP, but this is my beginning.
Very nice. Thank you. Who else is doing? Lauren, I think, unmuted.
May I go?
Of course, yep.
Hello, everyone. I am from Jordan, and I've been teaching AP Physics 1 for the past 3 years at Pioneer Educational School. Like I am the head department of physics. I went through mechanics, and like with the new updated syllabus, like I've wanted to learn more.
Okay. Very nice. Does anyone else need to go?
Yeah, may I?
Okay.
Okay, so my name is Arghya Maithia. I'm from UAE, United Arab Emirates. I mainly teaching in Indian curriculum. However, my planning is to go for the international curriculum like AP curriculum. I'm preferring because of that reason. I want to align my knowledge with the AP curriculum. Because of that reason, I'm joining this workshop.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
My name is Lauren Malik. I'm from San Antonio. I've done AP in the past, but it's been a little while. And so with the updates to the CED, I felt like I needed to kind of refresh myself. But I've been doing physics in some form or fashion for over 15 years now.
All right. And did anyone else want to go?
I'll go.
Good, great, thanks.
Yeah, my name is Rick Belenke. I teach I'm at a new school this year, so I'm department head and teaching AP Physics for the first time. AP Physics and Physics 1. Longtime teacher. I taught biology, AP Environmental Science, chemistry, anatomy and physiology, but it's my first time teaching physics.
Okay, welcome. And anybody else? All right, let me do one thing quickly because people are putting share requests in, so I'm going to put it in the chat and see if this helps with that. So just give me a second. Paste and send. Okay. All right, we'll see how that works, and then I can do the access later on. So I'll go back to sharing, and we'll just start doing the class that I have planned for you tonight. So, all right. So the online workshop, we have 4 modules that you're going to have to complete. 2 of the modules, 1 and 4, are going to be with me, and they're going to be live. And then 2 and 3 you're going to do on your own. So today we're going to really kind of focus on understanding and planning for the course and spend time in the CED. And tonight is more like scriptive and things that I have to talk about and make sure we work on. And then modules 2 and 3 you're going to be doing on your own. And all of that stuff should be in your professional learning dashboard. You can't move on to the next module until you completed the one before it. So like after tonight, then your module 2 will open. And then when you finish module 2, module 3 will open. And you do have to finish module 2 and 3 to get to the live version next Wednesday. And next Wednesday will be more of like stuff that I have that I think you'll find useful, like labs and where to find different lesson plans and pacing guides and different things like that. So that's how this workshop sort of breaks down. And then just as a quick overview, the College Board does offer 4 AP Physics classes. So if it was more a pre-med track / first year of physics, non-physics majors, that's going to be like AP1, AP2. And then more of the engineering physics, that would be the APC mechanics and APC E&M. I don't know if any of you have taught that, but I've taught all 4 of them. So when this is over, if you had any questions about any of those other 3, feel free to send an email, and I'd be happy to help if at any point your school asks you to teach any of those other ones. All right, so we are talking about Physics 1. So this is an algebra-based course, and it sort of is supposed to replicate the first semester of college physics, and it's designed to be a full year course. So these are the units that AP Physics 1 covers. So if you're teaching this course, hopefully you're doing kinematics and then forces, work, energy, and power, momentum. They split up rotation a little bit this year. They did like torque and rotational dynamics, and then they did a different unit with talking about rotating energy and angular momentum. Then there's oscillations, and then the big new thing this year is that they moved fluids from AP Physics 2 to AP Physics 1. So I think some people are a little worried about that, and we'll kind of address that in our second session that we have. I have a bunch of fluid labs and just different ways to approach adding fluids to your curriculum. I put this in here just so you can see the units. If you were to ever teach AP2, they do more of the thermo, electrostatics, current, E&M. They do a lot of optics, and then modern physics. And then the C class is all the calculus-based first semester, so mechanics, your typical mechanics type stuff from, it's basically very similar to AP1, it's just beefed up with the calculus and doesn't have fluids. So sometimes some of my really bright AP1 kids can score like a 3 or 4 on C because they know enough background, even though their calculus isn't there. And then E&M has all of that stuff, again, at the calculus level. So if you wanted to look at that or you were curious, I just figured I'd put that on there for you. All right, so moving on. One thing that I do want to mention is there are some curricular requirements if you are teaching the AP1 course. The first one is that you have to have, your students and yourself need to have access to college level textbook. It does not need to be like a physical textbook. It can be an electronic format, but AP does, or College Board does require you to have some kind of material in that way. The next one is that you have to go through the content in the CED. So we'll talk about the CED, which is the course and exam description. And you just have to be making sure that you're teaching all of the physics concepts that are in there. And then the curriculum requirements 3 through 4 are the science practices. So I don't know, some of you have taught AP1 in the past, and there were like tons of science practices, and they weren't confusing, but they were just really wordy, and they tried to streamline them. And so all 3 of these science practices are in all 4 of the AP physics exams. So we have creating representations, mathematical reasoning, and then scientific questioning and argumentation. So these are the first like 5 curricular requirements. And then the next one is the idea of labs. So when you are teaching AP1, it's expected that 25% of your time is spent on actually doing hands-on lab activities, okay? So once every 4 days, you need to be doing a lab with your students, because they're also going to be assessed on this, whether it's for graphing or actually writing about and designing lab experiments. So you definitely want to make sure you're doing a lot of labs when you're teaching AP Physics 1. And that they're doing, like, they're make sense with the course exam. Obviously, we want to be doing labs that have to do with the physics that's on there. This last one, 8, talks about that they should have like a portfolio or a lab notebook. So some teachers have it just like a physical lab notebook, or you could just have them keep like a Google Drive of everything that they've done. I found that this is really important, and I've gotten like emails from former students that will say, oh, I'm here at whatever college, and the only way I'm going to get my AP credit is if they see my lab book, but I threw it out. And I was like, oh, good golly, that wasn't such a smart idea. So you want to make sure you talk to them about actually keeping a good lab notebook. That's like one of my suggestions for that. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second, because now I can actually see you. When I'm like this, can you hear me when I'm like, my face is shoved up in, okay. Yes, I'm getting a yes. All right, so I look funny, but you can hear me, so we'll have to deal with it, and I'll go to my tech department tomorrow at school. All right, did anyone have questions about the curricular requirements, like either textbook stuff or hopefully you are doing about 25% labs, most people, if you're teaching science. Yes, Fabian?
That means one lab a month, for example?
Well, no, I do, it means...
Or, I'm sorry,
a week.
1 lab a week?
Yeah, I usually do 1 to 2 labs a week. Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed.
No,
I
that's
missed
okay.
the word.
That's
Sorry.
Yeah, you want to be doing them like at least once a week, and every once in a while you're going to have to do 2 a week. But designing
Thanks.
and graphing are like a huge important assessment feature of AP Physics 1. So definitely go heavy on the math, well, not math, but the lab portion. That's really important. Okay.
I have a quick question
Yes,
about
yes,
that.
go ahead.
So, I've looked through the manual. I'm not going to remember exactly what the name was, but it has sections where it goes by like topic, and then it has sort of a suggested lab, something you could do, and then it talks about how this lab would satisfy XYZ like requirement.
Mhm.
But there is no like lab manual or like set of labs that we could actually use with students.
Like printed out versions, you mean, that you could just.
Right, that we could like assign to students or that have a little bit more like granular detail. I know you don't know what lab equipment different places have, but does anything like that exist?
I'm going to. Okay, sorry, I'm admitting someone new. During the next like Wednesday, I'm gonna talk about labs and show you different labs that I do, and then I'm gonna create a whole Google Drive so you'll have every lab that I give to my students. Some of them will have like the step-by-step, but there are we do have to focus more of like inquiry type labs where you don't really give them much direction at all. Like today I did a lab where I had just an angled platform and I put a cart, not like a friction block on it, and I said design a lab so that you could find the coefficient of friction of the block. And like that's literally all that they had, because they will have a question where they have to design and do that lab.
That sounds great.
So, but I will definitely get you guys all, like I said, like oh, that's funny. I don't know if anyone's reading the comments, but you did the same lab today. Yeah. So yeah, I would say, is anyone else on forces right now? Hopefully you are, and kinematics is over. Okay. If not, you're not gonna finish, but that's okay too. So yeah, try to do it more open-ended, more inquiry type labs. So I will give you lots and lots of stuff. And then you can just email through the years too if you need things. All right, so let me go back to sharing. I want to point out, I don't know if anyone's used this, but it's called Course at a Glance. And they used to print out these huge big posters. I don't know if any of you still have the poster, but this is the new one for the course redesign. So it breaks up, you can see the units, so like 1, 2, whatever, and then if I keep scrolling, 3, and then 5, here, you know what I'll do too, copy. I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna put the course at a glance chat. I'm putting this course at a glance in the chat. It's a link to the College Board, so if you wanna not just follow along on my screen, but kind of peruse it on your own, it is right there for you. And it gives you the specific things that you need to teach them. This is helpful when doing a year plan. So at the top here, it tells you, okay, Unit 1 is kinematics, and they expect 12 to 17 class periods to be spent on kinematics. Now, they are assuming, I know all of us have like very different schedules, whether you're a block or whatever, but when they designed this and they say 12 to 17 class periods, if you look over to the left, it does say that the pacing's based on 45-minute classes every day of the week. So if your school is a little bit different, that might be adjusted. And then here it says that kinematics is about 10 to 15% of your AP exam. And then it gives that. So this is helpful when trying to pace yourself, trying to teach this curriculum for the full year. At the bottom here, it says progress check. And what the progress check is on AP Classroom, which I highly recommend that you use AP Classroom. We actually won't talk about it too much because all of Module 2 online, when Joe, you'll see him, he's very nice, he has a little video all about AP Classroom, but I recommend assigning these progress checks, whether you grade them or not, or at least post them so that kids can see these examples. Because for every single unit, there are 18, well, there are a certain amount of multiple choice questions. Like this one has 18 questions, whereas this one has 30. But every single one does have 4 free response questions. So you can see exactly how the questions are going to be asked for your students with the free response stuff here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put you in breakout rooms for like 5 or 10 minutes, and I want you to look at this at a glance and kind of think about these questions here. Like, what are you teaching in other physics classes, and then what do you have to do now that you're teaching AP? Like, what units are different? And then look at the time periods and decide, do they make sense for you based on your schedule? And then do you think the poster is helpful? So I'm going to give you time so you don't just have to hear me lecture. I'll probably just give you a breakout room for like 5 minutes though, not forever. We'll do 4. And then I'll come in and say hello.
So I'm just kind of looking at the questions here. So I'm only teaching one physics class, so it's a little bit different. So the first couple questions don't really apply to me, but the poster is definitely helpful for helping pace the year. And I think having only taught on-level physics previously, speeding up the pace is definitely going to be my biggest challenge.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, so if like thinking about on-level physics or other physics courses, I mean, there's a lot of the beginning is really pretty similar, just bring in like extra trig that a lot of my level kids don't necessarily get. But then as we get really into the second semester with the rotational components and the fluid components, like those are things that my other physics kids wouldn't normally have.
Sure. For me, like the state curriculum, it's quite different. That means, first of all, it includes also electricity and some other stuff, and in a way, it's quite different. In a way, I don't think it contains any fluids, but it contains mechanics and some other stuff.
And then some of the from the 2 realistically, but again, that lower.
Yeah, so I guess my state curriculum does also include like electromagnetism and stuff, but I figured if I'm teaching AP Physics 1, I'd kind of just have to cut that sort of thing to make sure I get everything else in.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm curious, what state are you in, sir? The last.
I'm in Austin, Texas. So.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Texas as well.
I'm teaching in South Carolina. Like it's, I think our curriculum it's a little strange, because it's a lot of engineering. Like that, they want to put a bunch of project based, like, and everything. Yes, it's related in a way with engineering.
Yeah, I think Texas just kind of goes really shallow and broad, and so they try to get you to hit a lot of different topics, but we also don't have any sort of state testing, so it's not like we're really being held accountable.
Stuff, yeah.
Same here. Yes, is no state testing.
I think looking at the at a glance, like it was interesting to me that in Unit 2, all the things they decided to put with forces. I mean, like I understand that springs and universal gravitation and circular, like those are all forces, but I'm not necessarily used to teaching them within the beginning of the year forces stuff. Like usually I would think of circular more in line with a way to introduce some of that rotational stuff, and usually I put gravity and circular together in terms of some of the same skills and everybody diagram and stuff that they need. But at the beginning of the year, that's definitely an interesting, like how it all goes together. I'm making it 2 kind of mini units realistically because of that.
Yeah, I think we're kind of just wrapping up with motion and frames of reference, and so we're definitely a little bit behind. We have to get our vector addition and everything going. And I agree with you. I kind of put the vector addition and things more in line with Newton's laws and stuff like that, but I would have kind of put the others more with rotational motion and torque and stuff.
I think in looking at this poster, the other thing that stands out at me is so all of those things that are in forces is supposed to take 30 days, so 6 weeks of classes, and then work powered energy is supposed to also take a good chunk of time like that, but like work powered energy is usually something that with my own level kids I would teach pretty quickly, and I think even with my past AP kids I taught it pretty quickly. So now I'm questioning if I need to be going much deeper into WPE, considering that it's half as many topics and it's supposed to take the same amount of time as all the courses.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if that's where maybe a lot of the labs are supposed to be, where you kind of encourage them to design their own lab.
The breakout rooms are really into their conversation.
Yeah.
We have everyone go. All right, everyone is back. So hopefully it was nice to talk to some other physics teachers for a moment. I don't know if you have any in your own building, but how do we feel about the curriculum? Like most people knew that these were the topics. They kind of seem like typical physics topics. I know a lot of people are worried in general, maybe not here, but nationwide, that they're adding fluids to the curriculum. I know that makes some people nervous. I have heard of 2 different approaches to how to add fluids. One is that kind of how it is in the course at a glance, is that you teach it as a 3rd unit, almost as a review unit, right? Because when we're talking about buoyancy, they're essentially just forces. So you can kind of like review forces / you've been, everything kind of flows, not to use fluids, but throughout the whole curriculum. And then you could talk about like moving fluids and use your energies. And then some other people were saying that they were just going to add those parts of fluids into different units. So like they were going to have buoyancy and just teach it, oh, this is just another force that you can have, and they put it in their force unit. And then they talk about like Bernoulli's principle about conservation of energy and put it in their energy unit. So some people are adding it throughout, and then some people are just using it as a last one. Does the time, I know we have a lot of new teachers here, so hopefully when you're mapping out your course, the time at the top is helpful to try to figure out, okay, how many days should I actually be spending on these different units? And then you can kind of see like forces is like a really big unit, should be spending a ton of time on that. Energy is a really big unit, ton of time on that. And then it also tells you like the percentage that it will be on the test. So that I do like that document for when I'm trying to plan out for the year, especially with the changes. Did anyone have any questions on that before we move on a little bit?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
I had a question
Yeah.
in terms of energy.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at forces, there's a ton of things to cover. And then you look at energy,
Yeah.
it's like half as many topics, same amount of time suggested. So is it really that much deeper into energy that we're going, or why so much time for something that I would usually call an easier topic?
Yeah, because I do spend a lot of time on energy and energy transformations. And then I don't know if you do or anyone does like the bar charts with energy or LOL diagrams, they're called. So there's a lot of that on the AP test, and everything can sort of be broken back down into conservation of energy. So I would say that I do spend a lot of time on that. And then I go back to it a little bit with rotation and in that as well. I know what you mean though, because like when you look at
Well, I like that you pointed out the graphs. That's not something I didn't necessarily think of, is they do struggle with graphing, and energy is an easy place to bring in a lot of different styles.
Yeah, and figure out, well, where did this energy get to? And then one thing that I stress to my students a lot, because you know, they spend a lot of time talking about like conservation of energy and having like kinetic energy go into potential energy. And a lot of them forget about work. Like once you start, you know, I personally start with work and then go into energy. And I tell them how important, like the fact that if you do work on something, you can change its kinetic energy. And that whole situation can make problems, like the way you solve problems, a lot easier. Like instead of using both kinematics and forces, if you just use energy, you kind of like cut out the middleman there. But I do spend a lot of time with work and energy. I'm going to write down for a second so that I use the bar charts. We'll talk about those next class. I don't know how familiar people are with them, but basically like if you have a roller coaster and you have potential energy up here, and then down here it's moving, it has kinetic energy. So they'll get like 2 graphs where they have to tell you how much potential energy they have and then how much kinetic. So like here. Sorry, I'm doing this on the fly. So like I have lots of sheets of this and I'll show it later, but like they'll have to make a bar chart where they'll say, okay, we've got 4 units, whatever they are, of potential energy at the top of a roller coaster. And then as it goes down the roller coaster at the bottom, those 4 blocks, if it's frictionless, you'll have 4 blocks of kinetic energy. And then they might ask, okay, well, what's going to happen if there were friction? And then here, energy thermal. And then the second picture, if there was friction, let's say they started with 4 blocks. There has to be 4 blocks over here. So they have 3 kinetics, and then they can say, well, one of them was going into thermal energy because there was friction. So drawing these is like a thing that they'll see, and they'll actually have to draw like on the AP exam on one of the free responses in the multiple representation. Did anyone I did that really fast, and we can spend more time when we're like doing how to plan lessons. But Does anyone do the bar charts? I know I have some experience, but okay. Do you use Legos? No. Okay. Some people use Legos, so they have like manipulatives, like you're in like a good grade, but it's fine because you remember it, so it's good. All right. So what's that? Who's talking? I missed it.
I had a quick question. Is dimensional analysis and the units important for AP, or do they not stress
that's a good
much?
So units within a problem, do you like within an equation is not important, but your final answer needs to have the proper units. Yeah, but you will get like a point off if you don't have your units. So that is important, but it's not like when you're doing like a kinematic equation, you don't have to have it within the equation. That's not important. Or that's not
a long time ago, it was if you were significantly off on your significant figures, they would take a point off also. I don't know if that's still part of it.
No, they kind of don't care about significant figures anymore. Yeah. As long they actually give you like usually a range, like your answer has to be 2.5 meters per second to like 3.2 meters per second or whatever. They'll put like a range. And yeah, I usually tell them to default, like even though, like I don't even teach the sig fig rules. I was like, you can learn that in chemistry because chemistry nerds care about that. But they don't care about the sig figs, but the units on the final answer does matter. But if they don't have, you wouldn't get more than 1 point off like total on the whole AP exam if you had missing units. Like you could have no units and you would only lose 1 point. Like it's just a one-shot deal for that. All right. Some people have stuff in the. Oh yeah, good. Very nice. Yes. Feel free to share to everyone, especially because we all want to help each other because we're nice humans. Okay. So let me go back to this guy. All right, good. So we did course at a glance. Now, the CED, I don't know how many of you use it, but it actually is a really good resource. And when I was first teaching, I was like, what? It's like so overwhelming and I don't know if I can handle it. But it actually has a lot of good stuff in it. So when I say CED, I am talking about the course and exam description. So did everyone, hopefully you downloaded it, I sent it to you. If someone can, while I'm on the screen, just like put a link to it, if you have it up, if you can put a link in the chat for everybody, for people who didn't have it, that'd be awesome. So basically it's like it has everything that you are going to need to know to teach the course. Like what content do I need? What are my science practices that I need to make sure I have? And it has a lot of good unit guides. The course at a glance is in there, and it talks about instructional approaches. One thing here I'll point out that I like, and I found extremely helpful when starting this and trying to plan a unit if I was ever feeling overwhelmed, is I would go down to this, the unit guides. Okay, so if I was starting off and I was like, what am I going to do with energy, or what's my requirement for what do I have to teach for content for energy? I would come down to my unit guides here. Sorry. I hope I'm not getting motion sickness. Just close your eyes. I'll tell you when to open them. Here we go. All right. So let's say because maybe we're going to start energy pretty soon, although I'm kind of knee deep in forces right now. So I would literally, when I was doing my work, power, and energy, I would print pages, whatever, 63 and on, and I would print them out and I would read through them and be like, okay, I've got this many class periods, got to try to plan that out. These kind of give me, I don't know if your school is into essential questions. It used to be a big thing at my school and now it's not so much, but if you do have a school that has essential questions, that's what those are there on the left, and you can, you know, have that for your building.
I don't think you're sharing, or at least I don't see it.
Don't see it?
I see it.
I see it.
Oh. Ooh. Okay. Hopefully it shows up. And then so now this is like has your specific things like work, and this is kind of nice because it will tell you like the science practices that go with it. Like here you could say you have to, you know, graph with scales and stuff like that. And then it gives you nice activities. So if you're like totally like, I don't know where to start, these activities are somewhere that you can, and it always has a desktop experiment. So here it's talking about, okay, you got a spring-loaded launcher, and then to make an inquiry, you just give it to them. You give them a scale, you give them a meter stick, and you say, find the spring constant. And then they have to come up with an experiment to do that. So then it has other ones here, but that's one thing I do with the CED. And then this, it gives you the very specific, like, okay, what is the content that I actually have to teach? Okay, they have to know what translational kinetic energy is in terms of mass velocity. So I definitely know that I'm going to have to teach 1/2 mv squared, and they better know it's a scalar quantity, and then talk about frames of reference. So if you are nervous, I think that's a good, with your CED, I wanted to highlight that. That's like definitely something that I liked for the CED for that. All right, so I have an activity that I'm gonna have you do. I'm gonna put you in different breakout rooms. I'll put this in the link in the chat in a second. And I'm gonna give you about 15 minutes to do this. So when you scroll through this, there's a couple intro pages or whatever. There are some questions that I want to see if you can find the answers by using the CED. Okay, and they're useful answers and questions for you to know. So I'm going to take my thing here, and thank you for everyone, thank you, Scott, for putting that in there, the CED. I'm going to send that, see if that actually works. There. Did anyone try to open it? Is it working for you? Or do you have to ask for permission? Try this one, see if that helps.
Let me open. I just made a copy of notes.
Okay. If you make a copy, it lets you open, Lauren?
Yes.
Okay. So if you guys could do that. I tried this other link. You can do that. Here. Ooh, I just updated the access. Let me try one more time. Open the link one more time. This last one, and that will help. Okay, so this should, I want you to go through this and see if you can answer as many questions in that are embedded in that PowerPoint to try to find it. And I will send you out into the world, and I'll check my email because I'm getting 1,000 right now asking for access, but I changed it.
Hello. Hi, Rick. Rachel.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Faraz.
Hello. Like, I'm not sure what did she like ask us to do, like, I forgot totally. Hello.
Hi, I just wanted to check in to see if anyone had questions so far on like a smaller scale in case people are afraid to ask.
About the CED, yeah, you do mean?
So we have
Just
to
like
ask,
anything.
so we have to answer the questions in the CD slides.
So I just tried to make some like prompting questions so that you could try to go through the CED and see if you can find the answers, like figure out where this important information is. Does that make sense?
Like, yes, I've already went through it, like, just like once the whole update for the whole AP Physics 1 algebra-based syllabus has changed, I've went through every small details through it.
You did?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you
Like-
like the update?
Like, listen up. Like, I do have a question for you. Like, how do you like? I do struggle a lot with my students. Okay, in order like to change their like mindset. Okay, from dealing with physics with numbers to like totally remove numbers and start like letting them to focus more on the concept so I can like make them to write physics like in terms of paragraphs. This is really, really hard, like because most of the students like they always deal with physics in terms of numbers. Like this is like the hardest thing I do see, like from all of the APs, I do think that AP Physics 1 algebra base and 2 are the hardest at all time.
Yeah, it is hard to get them to think about writing.
Yeah.
There are some good strategies that are like that I use and I basically took from looking at the CED. Have you ever like looked at those where they do like pens with friends and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You do the friends with pens?
The what?
Here,
I
here,
can hear you now.
I'll show you. Hold on 1 second. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna I need to move. Why won't okay, here.
Like do you use
okay.
the yeah.
Ooh. No, sorry, it went away and I don't want it to go away.
Okay, while you are searching, let me ask, do you use the like the classroom as like a main reference for you and the students, like to practice on the language of the AP Physics 1 algebra based questions?
You mean like classroom?
Yes, for the AP classroom,
Yeah.
like
AP classroom a lot, and I give them like I would say for every unit they'll see at least 4 free response problems. Like we will work on them together and I will talk about how that you need to be writing. Like you can't also I usually when we do the mathy part, I try not to use numbers and only use letters.
no, this is
Do you know?
this is my strategy also, like whenever
Okay.
I'm explaining anything, like I always remove numbers from everything.
Right, that is good. Yeah. So this section here, these instructional strategies, I try to pick these, and I feel like that helps me at least to figure out how they're gonna like write about physics. You know, like this ask the expert one, where they have to like really, one of them has to really understand a concept enough to be able to go and explain it to somebody else. So I recommend looking at these things here and like just trying one. Some work better than others. Like this Friends Without Pens I always like to do. So where they like talk about it first and then they go back and try to write about it.
That's
but
a good
I would
idea.
say that for me, the best thing I do is actually do like free responses with them and be like, okay, look, this is, you could see that they're not asking you, 2 balls, 1 drops. and one shoots off, which one, hits the ground first, instead of
Yeah,
calculating it,
you should go
actually like
through the free fall
describe.
concept.
Right. They have to be like, okay, well, they both have no initial vertical velocity. And like, so I feel like going through free responses is the best way to do that for me personally. And I get them from AP Classroom.
Yeah, like, do you give them like any specific worksheet like you've already made or something, or it's based?
Yeah, I'll print one off from there and then give it to them.
Always from the classroom only. So your reference is only the classroom. There is no other reference for you, like whenever you are going through the syllabus.
I have a lot of like old ones. I also I don't know if you know, like AP-B physics existed at one point.
Yeah, I am familiar with it. Like I went through the past papers.
Right. So I have all of those ones. So I will try to like rewrite them to make them seem more like in the style of AP, like the new AP1.
Okay, like except like for the new syllabus, like they did remove like 3 FRQs and they've updated with new with a new 2 like type of questions, the mathematical routine and the representation thing.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot nicer now, and we don't have to do the paragraph question anymore, which is super nice.
Yeah, thanks.
So they won't be right. So it's nice because you don't really have to teach them to write paragraphs anymore. You just have to teach them to write like 2 sentences.
Yes, instead
so I think
instead of going through the paragraph, but still the QQT is there, and it's like
still there. But I told them with the QQT, they're really they can usually write their correct answer in 2 sentences, and that if they're writing more, they're probably messing up. They're probably saying something wrong.
But listen up, listen up. Like, do you have like how many points are like distributed for all of the new 4 FRQ questions?
Well, go into your progress checks. The answer keys are on there, and they will break it down. They'll tell you. I don't have it on the top of my.
Are you still like because like back in time the experimental design question was worth 14 points. Nowadays, like
yeah,
I don't know if
it's
still 14 or something.
But it's definitely on AP Classroom somewhere.
I've searched, like I've went through the classroom, like I can't like see clearly like how many points right now is for the EDQ and the QQT, like, and the mathematical routine. Like I don't know if I should more like focus on.
I'll pull up my.
Check it, please. Like I don't know if like if I did miss a place or something. Because you do know, like the students love to ask this question always. Like usually, how many points this question were like?
Oh, just do it. Stop. Yes. All right. So here I'm gonna go to the progress check. Free FRQ. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. I can see it clearly.
So here is this. If you press this, it'll do scoring guidelines.
Yeah.
And then if you come down here, it gives you the points. So this one is 7 and 3. So this is a 10-pointer.
Is it?
And
is
you
it
can
gonna
see
be that thing for
math.
Like the exam?
See how it says math teams right here?
Oh, okay. So usually, so is it?
And
so
then
is it gonna be like 10 points for the mathematical routine question?
it looks like, hold on, let me see what this one says. 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, oh wait, translation. Oh, this is translation. So translation is 12, and mathematical looks like it's 10. So I would say go to this, and that's how you can figure out. Because over here on the left, it will tell you what subtype it is. You see how it says translation? And then if you scroll down, it will tell you how many points. So that's probably the best.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
العرض يستفيد منها. هذا أكيد يستفيد منها، بده يعرف منها قديش العلامات على الفري ريسبونس. عدوان فلسطين.
All right, so everyone is coming back. Okay. All right, so welcome back, everybody. Hopefully you had a good discussion. I just wanted to talk about a few of the things, point out them. So the science practices, hopefully you realize that there were 3 of them. And some of them, like I said, or asked, seemed like when well, I mean, a lot of you are a lot younger than me, but when I took physics, it was very like mathematically based and all these different things. We didn't really write much. One thing that you should be happy about if you've taught AP1 before is that the paragraph question is no longer a thing. I didn't know if you all know that. So there's no, did anyone even know what the paragraph question was? No? So just be happy that it doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, so it's a very good thing that that's gone. So you don't have to worry. They used to have to write a full paragraph, and that was just a nightmare. So that's gone, so that's nice. But they still do have to write about physics. So that's one of those things in the science practices. They also have to do a lot of lab work and a lot of linearization of labs. Does anyone know what I mean when I say the linearization piece? Okay, so I'm going to share with you next week all the linearization labs that I do in my class, and that is more scripted, and you feel free to just copy it and use it, and we'll talk about exactly what that is. But that's what they're talking about in some of the science practices. And then let me see if there were other ones I wanted to make sure I addressed. Just the fact that you definitely, did anyone get to the thing where they have the AP community? Did you guys notice that? Do you know that the AP community exists? Does anyone? No? All right, then this is actually, I'm going to share this screen because, share. All right. Too much junk. All right, so I'm actually in my AP classroom. You guys will learn about it. But this is like my account for all my stuff. And of course, they're making me do this thing because why would it be? Okay, so if you look at hopefully you can get to your College Board professional account, but if you haven't done this yet, I highly recommend it. It's called AP Teacher Community. And if you press that here, sorry. Okay, so, good, I'm not. So I'm going to join my AP Physics discussion board. And it's basically a discussion board with AP Physics teachers all over the world. Okay, so you can just post a question like, hey, does anyone have a good rotational kinetic energy lab? And then people will write back. And then it's just sometimes kind of interesting. And you can notice here, I've got a lot of C stuff, but you can change it and just have like certain courses on there. You don't have to read the C things or whatever. And there are people that are just like paid to answer people's questions, or if people are on it. Oh, look here. 3, AP Physics 1, Labs for Fluids. And Amy Johnson is she's the head of AP 1 at College Board, so she like writes all of this stuff. So this is her whole presentation. Let's check it out. I haven't looked at it yet. It's awesome. So it goes through and she talks about how to find, the workbook right here, which has the teacher edition of the fluid. So now you have a fluid workbook, AP1 there. But if you haven't used the AP Community, I highly recommend like writing it down, and but it's just a really good resource because it's like literally thousands of physics teachers who go on there. So if you feel like you need something, I recommend that. Good. Anyone have any questions in looking through the CED? No? Okay. So it is overwhelming, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. So I have to point that out. I'll get to point that out to you. All right. So let me go back to sharing this one. Good. Oh, sorry. Someone put something in the chat that I missed. Oh, you didn't know about it. It is awesome. I highly recommend it. Okay, that makes my day. Someone learned something. I'm going to bed now. It's been nice knowing you guys. Okay. So, all right. We actually don't have a ton of time. So instructional approaches, I was talking about this with one group. In the CED, because it is sort of overwhelming, we're kind of used to teaching physics like a plug and chug kind of thing, and you do need to teach your students how to write. And there are a lot of instructional approaches within the CED that helps you teach them how to do that. So you can see like right here, it tells you what page, like 155. Oh, someone asked me if I use the student book for AP Physics 1, and I do use it sometimes. In Module 2, Joe, it's a video, but he will show you all of that stuff. If for some reason you don't get enough answers watching that, let me know and I can point that out. All right, we're not going to do that. We don't have that. Oh, shoot. No, I didn't. All right. Oh, we're going to go back to this. I just put you in. All right. One thing that I think is interesting that I wanted to point out is, this is for AP Physics 1 and 2. So if you teach 2, or someday you will teach 2, these are all your on the right are all your all your science practices. Okay, so we've got like the first 3 and then the next one, and then way over on the right, it tells you how much of the exam is a percentage of that science practice. So you will notice that, hold on. Oh, someone asked about calculator. The AP1 online, multiple choices online, and free response is still pen and paper. I have them use like a TI-83 Plus. I have a couple kids that have weird calculators that I don't know how to use, so they can use Desmos for labs, but they can't, they wouldn't have Desmos access during an exam. Okay, so those are the answers to your question. So you'll notice that anything that has create, so see how it says create diagrams, create graphs, sketches, and then if we skip down, create procedures, they will never have any of those science practices on a multiple choice because you can't have kids create something on a multiple choice because they're just answering it. So those science practices are going to show up in the free response part of it. So they will have to design an experiment or, you know, graph the stuff. So if you're wondering how that breaks down with the science practices, that's what it has there. And then for those of us who are really new, this is our format. Multiple choice is half the exam, so they switched it a little bit. The multiple choice only has 40 questions now. All of them have 4 choices and only 1 is correct. They used to have this weird thing where 2 are correct, but that's not a thing anymore. And it's 80 minutes. So that's their multiple choice. And this year, this part will be online. So that will be new. And then the free response format, there will always be 4 questions. It takes 100 minutes and it's also worth 50% of the exam. So the 4 free response questions, you definitely are going to have 1 of each of these types. So there's mathematical routines. So it's sort of like a typical physics problem. There's a translation between representations. So that means that you might have to, you know, find a speed or find a velocity, and then you would have to graph what that would look like, or you might have to create a bar chart, or you might have to create like one of those diagrams where, like, if something's accelerating and you were to draw it every second, you would notice that the distance was getting bigger as you were going along. But that's what they mean for translation between representations. They will have to design an experiment, like that's why it's 1/4 that you need to spend on it, because you've got one of your free responses, you know, is going to be on that. So they're either going to have to design the experiment or do an analysis of it. And the last one is QQT, is what they call it. It's qualitative, quantitative translation. And what that means is they would have to figure something out with numbers or letters, let's say. So like solve for the coefficient of friction. And then they'll say, a student says, if the mass increases, then the coefficient increases. Does this make sense with your answer? And then they have to be able to match, like explain their equation quantitatively. So those are the 4 free responses that we now have. There's no more paragraph questions. Oh, random. You guys are asking about the calculator policy. So I forgot I put this in here. So it's a 4 function. This is what they're allowed. So whatever they have, the specific policy is here. And then if you haven't looked at it, the AP1 equation sheet is here. So it's got all like what they need. And then notice, yay, it's got fluids on the bottom now. But they did update a lot of this. This looks very different. Yeah, I would say very different from ones in the past. I give this out to my students for every assessment because I want them to know where to find things on here, and I don't want the test to be the first time that they see this. So, I mean, that's my recommendation, but you might have like a different opinion on that, which is totally fine too. Oops, previous app. Those are really quick overview of how the exam is in terms of types of questions. Did anyone have a specific question about that? Oh, Desmos, yeah, like on the online, it's probably like the online calculator. Did any of your students take did you guys proctor the SAT test like this week or last week? I just had to do that. And there was like the built-in calculator on the multiple choice part. So they probably have the same thing there. So no questions on that. Yeah, they get the equation sheet on both parts, the multiple choice and on the free response. I try to not, I don't want them to rely on it or I tell them, like, if you're looking at it the whole time trying to find the equation, you're never going to finish the exam on time. But if you just forget like one, then go over and look for it. But they do get like all of it, so that is good to hear. All right, so we have one more thing I have to do. This hour and a half is not enough for this, by the way. There's one more thing that we are required to do, and I'm only going to give you like 5 or 10 minutes for it. So we're going to break out into different groups, okay? And so they're asking about the curricular requirements. So if you remember, the curricular requirements are like the textbook. Are you doing enough labs? Excuse me. Do you address the content properly?
Yes.
And what's that? Oh, I thought something. Okay. So what I want you to do is in your small group, just kind of after this, what have we done? Hour and 15 minutes. You know, are you addressing these curricular requirements? Should you be doing something differently? How do you need to change anything, or do you feel like you're on a good pace? Okay.
Like,
And
may I ask a
yeah.
question, please? About which is about the exam format.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you think like this year MCQ questions they're gonna be harder than the last year? Because like for this year, the students they do have more times than last year. Like they do have like at least 2 minutes per MCQ, and they did remove the multi-select questions. So like
yeah,
the exam is becoming easy. I don't know.
I think they will be pretty similar because I think I realized that there was a lot of writing and a lot of kids weren't finishing it. So I think they'll be similar level difficulty. They'll just actually be able to like read them all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Oh, what's our task in
بدي المفيد بدش المفيد أكتر ايش نبقى شو بدنا
Well, I am an expert on this, so since this is my first year, I will do it as recommended. Probably within the time I will do if I require some modifications, but at the moment I don't think so.
Mhm.
I don't know if
I'm
you.
just a little bit afraid of like the 25% labs.
And the time, it's like
Yeah.
you are running, and there's no much time. You know, it's like there's no like too much time to
هذاك
make
عنده
changes
خبرة
or
عنده خبرة
try
بالاي
to
بي
make over
بس كيف
something.
هذا مش جديد
It's
يعني
quite enough. So I don't know what the other
هذاك
people think.
مسلمي عنده خبرة بالاي بي مش جديد على الثلاثي يعني انه يسأل فايت لهون ومسد لهون
Like
عشان
I don't know
يسأل
what is the question like. It's like about
يسأل
what?
عن الأسئلة وشوف فرق بين ايش أسئلة
I think they're asking if you're teaching it
السنة
now.
أسئلة
Now
السنة
that you've
القديمة
seen this, would you
هو
change?
مش ايش continue by زي
That's how I understood it. Or how can you use whatever's in the document to help you?
In the CED?
Yeah, that's how I understood it, but I might be wrong.
Okay. Like, listen up, guys. Like, you can all use, like, if you couldn't make it, like, to do, like, an experiment or two experiments per a week, you can always count on YouTube for showing the students the
Yeah.
experiments and to explain it instead of wasting time going to the lab and, like, let the students to settle in. And after that, you do start doing the experiments, you're gonna waste time. like time is really short to cover the whole syllabus. And like I wanted to ask her a question. Like there's a lot of questions in the AP classroom, they are not related to the syllabus at all. I don't know if you like you went through the questions through the AP physics classroom, like while you are doing them with your students, you're gonna see like there is a lot of questions. They are not mentioned in the syllabus at all. They are using a new words. They've never like did it before in the CED. That's the reason why like the AP Physics 1 algebra base has the lowest scale from all of the APs, because it's not clear at all. What should you like basically explain for the students? It's not specific something.
Yeah, I know my son had difficulties with the wording sometimes, the wording of the questions.
Yeah.
He felt some of the questions were very confusing.
I have
The
noticed
way
that.
they were phrased.
Still, and the time management for the questions. The questions, most of the MCQs are all like not most of them, all of them are tricky.
Yeah, I have noticed that in my students. They mentioned that.
It is like basically one of the hardest APs from all. It's not about the syllabus. It's like basically how you're gonna be able to teach the syllabus for the students and to show them how to start writing physics instead of dealing with equations and numbers and formulas.
I still feel it's a lot about equations and formulas, and really, I just feel the writing shows more that they really know what they're doing, while with equations, you can just hide that pretty easily, I feel.
Yeah, but still like it is required from you to go through the formulas for the sake of the MCQ questions.
I mean, if they want to know physics, they do need to know how to use the formulas. I mean, it's basically applied math, so.
Yeah, it is after all algebra based.
Yeah.
No, I think that's it.
And I mean, I would need to go in more detail to see if the document, the what's it called again?
Definitely, I agree.
Whatever document is really useful or not. It will take me the first year quite some extra time to.
Yeah, it's like step by step.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to detail that also.
For sure, yes. I see.
Well, it seems that it's time to go back.
Let's go ahead.
See you, people.
ما طلعش جاي.
All right. We still have a breakout. Oh, actually, there's two. Oh, here they go. All right. Welcome back.
Okay.
It looks like you're having too much fun. You were smart. That was not acceptable. Okay. So hopefully I feel really bad. I always rush on the first day, but there's like required things that I have to do, and I sort of want to get them over with so that when I see you in the next 2 hours, it's like really specific to things that you wanted to do in labs and stuff. So I do have to make sure that you understand the curricular requirements. So when talking with your new physics friends, did you guys feel like you were doing your curricular requirements? Did anyone feel like, oh, I guess I need to beef up my labs? Hopefully. So hopefully you walk away with this hour and a half. Like I need to do class, lab, class, lab, or class, lab, but definitely do tons of labs. Make them inquiry based. If you need help with that, you can let me know. And also have them do a lot of writing. They will have to do writing. That's part of the curricular requirements. Did anyone have any life-altering things when they were in the breakout room that they think would be helpful?
I just had a quick question. If you say let them do a lot of writing, is it just explaining what they do in words? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, just like a lot of in words, writing like 1 or 2 sentences to explain stuff. I was talking to Susanna. You don't need to have them write, or at least I never do. I don't know what other experienced teachers that are here. I don't have them write after every lab like a full long write up with like hypothesis, procedure, like blah blah blah. I might have them just do one part of that for a particular lab, and usually it's either procedure or conclusion, and then definitely an error section, because they will always ask the student, if it's a design your experiment, it will ask you like what is the error in your lab. So always have your students think about like what they were doing wrong in the lab. Like they're doing something wrong all the time. So when you walk around, don't just like fix it for them. Like explain what you're fixing and be like, look, you didn't, like if you're using PhotoGates, you didn't measure your little piece of paper correctly. So now everything is giving you a really high velocity because you put a really small distance in that thing. Okay, so talking about really specific lab errors is good. Okay, so here I just want to, we have 5 minutes, good timing, blah blah blah. Okay, so here, just so you're clear as to what you're going to do during this next week. All right, so we just finished, or we'll finish in 5 minutes, module 1, where we just talked about like planning and just understanding the expectations. The next thing you need to do, and this just has to be done by next Wednesday, is you're going to do module 2, which is a video that Joe he'll be your little video person. He's awesome. He's also from Connecticut. And he will talk to you just about AP Classroom, and it should take about 45 minutes. And you can just do it anytime. It's asynchronous. Watch the video, and then there's like a quick check for understanding. Once you finish that, then you will have access to module 3, and then you can do this understanding student, or assessing student understanding. This module really focuses on the grading of the AP exams and of the free responses. So it might answer a lot of questions you have on that. You should watch this video, complete a check for understanding, and you actually do have to do an assignment. I'll explain that assignment in a second, and you're going to submit it to me, and then I'll try to get you the feedback within a week. And that's module 3. So you have to do module 2, then module 3 opens up. And then when you complete module 3, then you're allowed to show up for module 4, okay? And module 4 is going to be next Wednesday, but this will be 7 to 9, and this will be more specific with lab stuff. I'll try to get different assessments that I use. I'll get together my Google Drive. I'll make a copy of it so that you can have different things that might help you as you're trying to teach and plan the class. I'll spend some time on linearization because I think that's important, and it's a key thing that shows up on the AP exam. All right, so your instructional activity, so this is the module 3, okay? What you need to do is select a science practice, which we mentioned today, and some kind of content, okay? So whatever science practice speaks to you, and then some kind of content. I recommend probably doing something you're going to do soon so that I could give you feedback or help you. Then you need to create some kind of activity that you could do with your students. You should use the CED for looking for stuff. Some of you might want to even try the AP Community, right? And then there's a template in module 3 where you will like fill it out. So it says here like the course content, the science practice, and then you'll explain your activity. And then you'll submit it on in that AP professional link thing that we have. And then you'll submit it to me. If you're having trouble, hopefully you're not having trouble. I don't know why they give us the slide, but if you're here, you're probably not having trouble because you got onto your Zoom. So you'll press your professional learning, and that's in your dashboard. Remember, professional learning, and then so you could see, or maybe you can't because your eyes are getting bad like mine. But here's the live thing, and then when you go back to it, it'll all be like complete, and then it says on demand module 2. So you have to watch the training and that will go to complete. And then you have to do the little assessment that'll go to complete. Once those are completed, then this guy opens up. And then once those are completed, then you can come next Wednesday. So you have to do that. And don't, like, if you submit it like Tuesday, I might not get feedback to you, but you don't need the feedback to show up on next Wednesday. Okay, so just know that. And then I guess I'll see you. So 1 week from today, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't even know, is anyone even on Eastern Standard Time here?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, 2. All right, good. There's like 2 or 3 of us. So that's good. All you others, you got to calculate what, 7 p.m. like physics teachers. So I think you'll be able to handle it. But we'll see. But yeah, so it's exactly 8:30. So you have done what is part of you. If you have a specific question, I'm happy to stay for like 5 or 10 minutes. Because I don't have little kids anymore. So bye. Thank you so much. We learned at least one.
Have a good night.
Can we email
Thank you so much.
Google Drive folder with the labs?
What's that?
Remember you mentioned you'll share Google Drive folder with labs you use?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to prep for the whatever thing, the next module. I'm going to prep for it probably early next week. So I'll definitely have it for you by the start of next one. I have 4 more right for my students. And then once those are done, then I'm going to plan next Wednesday. Yeah.
For the activity, does it need to be a lab or just?
No, it does not need to be a lab. It could be like a pens with friends kind of thing, or just something that you could do. Like it could be like one of those little desktop. It doesn't need to be a big, long, formal like lab by any means. It could just be like, I don't know if you do the little spring toy where you push him down and then he goes in the air. You could just describe something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just one more question. Do you usually, like, do you often have students work together in the class, or is it mostly just individual work?
Oh, no, my kids are like always together. Yeah. I yell at them when they don't talk to each other. Yes.
Okay.
Unless it's a test. And then I yell.
Yeah. Thank you.
I don't really yell, but yep. All right.
In addition to the labs you're going to share with us, would you possibly be able to share some like unit test examples that you've used?
Yeah, I'm going to share that. And then at the beginning of every single unit, I hand out what I call packets. So it will have like my whole, like day by day what I'm doing for the force unit. And then like day by day what I'm doing for the energy unit.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
So, and then I'll have practice problems. There'll be a lot of junk in there, but it's not really junk. It's like my life work. But if there's something missing that you need that I could have it as well. So you can just send me an email and I'll look for it for you, Scott.
Thank you.
What email should we send? Like, how do we reach you with that request?
Probably the Kim Snooze Global one, but I also did I put my school one up there?
No.
I'll put that in the chat so you can just like copy and paste it. Oops, hold on.
Susanna.
All right, so this is my school one, which I do check a little bit more often. Like I don't have my Kim Snooze School attached to my phone, where this one I do. Did anyone else have any questions?
What's your name? It doesn't say on your screen. It just says host for me.
Oh, that's lame. I'm Kim. I'm sorry. I should do that. What a loser.
Hmm.
I need to change that.
Thank you, Kim. Great.
No problem. Oh, God. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Lowell.
Anybody? No problem.
Good.
Have a good
Hi,
night.
Kim. Thank you so much. I have,
Yeah.
I'm new to teaching physics, so I don't have a bank of like test questions and quiz questions. I'm using an online textbook like OpenStax. And so I don't know if you have any resources or places I can go to online or whatnot to find.
Access Classroom?
Wait, hold on, sorry.
Yeah, do you have access to AP Classroom? Like, are you
Yes.
on it?
Yes.
Okay, so honestly, that's where I get all my questions. So module 2 will go through all of that.
Okay.
I can show you, I'll show you like really quick, but I don't know why, but I'm not supposed to, like, whatever.
Can you talk about like the progress checks, like those questions?
No.
No.
This is my favorite. Am I in AP? One of these, I have to be in AP Classroom. Oh, I guess I'll re-sign in. Question bank. So I'll show you with my C class. Well, I guess I can move it to 1. There are so many questions on AP Classroom. Like, my daughter's senior in high school. That makes me so annoyed when her AP teachers don't use it. So, okay. So if you go up here, I'm in my AP Physics 1. If you go over here to question bank and you go to all questions, there are 1,149 questions in there. And you can sort them by, like, what unit are you doing right now?
I'm on gosh, what am I doing? Good question. Like projectiles.
Oh, okay. All right. So if you press, so you want like just projectile. So we'll do like vectors in 2 dimensions.
Yeah, 2
2D motion.
dimensions. Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me. Sorry. So now we're down to 37 questions, and then you can do a subtype. So if you just want multiple choice, you press multiple choice, and now you have all of these to pick from.
Okay. And I can assign those through the website, right?
Assign it there, or
Sorry to cut it. Richard, I also just posted a link in the chat. This is MIT Physics AP1 workbook. There's tons of multiple choice and free response style questions in there too, with keys at the end of each section. And the keys have a couple typos. I found just a couple, like 2, but for the whole PDF, it's great. So sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to put that in there.
Oh.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Is that what you needed, Richard? Is
Yeah. That's super helpful. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Too, you'll have more, questions coming out of your ear.
Yeah, right. Now it's a matter of going through them and sifting through and picking, what I need.
Right.
Okay, great. Thank you, Kim. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Next week.
Okay.
Hopefully next week will be even
Yep,
better.
sounds good. See you Wednesday.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night. Thank you very much.